Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, host of the program and owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, in Colorado, you've said before that real estate agents are licensed to fill out the forms the state gives them to complete the legal contracts for buyers and sellers. But what about new homes? How are those different from existing or resale homes?
Well, Richard, it's really interesting. In the state of Colorado, all licensed agents, when they write an offer, have to use the state provided forms. However, when it comes to new construction, those are not the state provided forms. They're all very proprietary to that builder, and they're all different and unique. And of course, they protect the builder's interest, but not the buyer. So, buyers in general, they love buying new homes. First of all, they're new. Sometimes they can pick the colors, pick the lot. I mean, it's really exciting to buy a new home. But you have to really do your homework and watch what's in the contract. Buyers also like it because they have new systems, they have a warranty. Many times the builders are offering to buy down their interest rates, even pay their closing cost. I spoke with a buyer just last week that told me they wrote a contract with a builder that gave them $45,000 in incentives. That's a lot of money. So, builders definitely are kind of beating out the resale homes with some of their ideas. But you have to do your homework and be very careful before you go into a contract with a builder because they use their own contracts to protect themselves. And sometimes there's stuff in there that may harm you. Like I worked with a person last year who they had already bought their new home when they called me, and they were under contract with this builder, but then they realized the quality of the construction wasn't what they wanted. And the agent that they used the first round really didn't pay any attention to the contract. And they ended up signing some kind of amendment that caused them to lose their deposit when they walked away after realizing that the home wasn't what they expected. So you have to be really, really careful about what's in the agreement and know the parameters. I do recommend taking an agent with you on new construction. The builders, what they do is they typically will put up a new model home that looks fabulous, right? And the buyers walk in and get to see it all decorated. They fall in love and go, how do I get this house? And oh, you can get this house here and you can pick your lot and it's going to be ready in 2 months. Here you go. If you buy directly with the builder, either take an attorney or take an agent and make sure that they review that contract. Because sometimes there'll be stuff in there that you may not be aware of that might affect whether or not your deposit is refundable, especially with the earnest money. It's supposed to be a veteran rule that if the house doesn't appraise, they can't keep their earnest money. But there are some builders that put in there after a certain time, regardless of the type of loan, the earnest money will be a non-refundable, what they call inducement fee. I don't know what that means exactly, but it means that they keep some of your money. So you have to be super careful about what is being written in those contracts and make sure you're very comfortable with it. I had a salesperson recently that after the buyer signed, filled in some other separate deposit form that the buyer never got to see and executed it with the contract. In our world, that's definitely a party foul and could get us in a lot of trouble. So you have to be super careful about what you're doing. And there's certain things in the contract that an agent can protect you down the road. I'll tell you a story. Like back during the meltdown, I don't know if you remember that, Richard. I think it was between 2008 and 2011. For some reason, once all of this implosion took place, the inventory of available homes really rose. There were few buyers buying homes. Yet at the same time, the builders were building what they call spec or speculative homes. So they had sitting inventory that wasn't getting sold. And one or two of those builders unfortunately went bankrupt. Okay, so imagine you're a buyer. You just bought your brand new home from this builder. You paid full price for it. You went straight to the builder without an agent. And then right after you close on the house, now you're the owner, the builder goes bankrupt and doesn't pay the guys that did the electrical in the ductwork. So what happened in that case, Richard, is those homeowners that bought those homes from the bankrupt builder, when their subcontractors didn't get paid, the subcontractors successfully got mechanics liens against the new homeowners that when they sold the house had to pay again for their electrical and their ducting. Now, that would have never happened if they had a good agent that really understood contracts and how to prevent that. Could you imagine that happening?
I would be so angry, and I can see it happening. I mean, it happens more frequently, I think, than people realize.
Yeah.
But having somebody like you looking out for a person is how you avoid a lot of these problems.
Yeah, so and you know there are construction issues. Like I had another client who bought a new home, and they were watching every week. They'd go over and take a look at it, and they were just finding crazy stuff going on, like food stains on the new carpet. They found hamburger wrapping stuffed between the framing. You know, there's not enough supervision going on during the construction site. And sometimes the builders get mad at the buyers for really watching what's happening. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I would think that they'd want their reputation to show that they're a quality builder. You can't help it when you're dealing with people that they're going to be lazy and leave Coke cans, in between the walls and stuff like that. So you just have to watch what's going on if you're in town. And if you're not in town and you're building a house, you need to have a representative watch what's happening because I have seen crazy things happen. I remember I had one client years ago that built a house and they were kind of watching it as it was going on. And they called me and they said, Barb, we didn't pick those counters. So I went in there and looked at it. And sure enough, they had picked bright brazen hussy red Formica counters for the master bath. That was not a buyer selection, but for some reason, that's what got installed in the house. And they called me and said, please tell him to stop. So I did. But it's just stuff like that happens. So you have to really watch what's going on because they are doing volume. They are doing it in sets. So like they'll do like 3 or 4 homes at a time, and they could easily make mistakes. So you really want somebody watching your back when you buy a new home for sure. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about how new construction homes are selling faster than resale homes. And next up, we're going to talk about some ideas on how you can protect yourself if you are buying a new home. And if you need to sell a home before you buy your next home, we can help you with that. We actually have a cash offer platform that's unique to our firm. And we can put any address in the country up on this platform and get at least 6 to 11 cash offers. Some of these offers are full market value, where if you need to buy your next home, we've got you covered. Anyway, call us at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Barb, what are some other issues that you see out there with new construction contracts and that process as well?
Well, Richard, if you're a buyer and you have a house to sell, the first thing I would ask the builder is, will you let me have a sale contingency? What that means is as a home buyer, I need to sell a home before I buy my new home. Some builders will and some builders won't, especially if they're starting the house from the ground up. They won't. They will say, we're not going to do that. You're going to have to sell your home first before we even start the process. And I've had some home buyers do that. They're saying, okay, I'm going to sell my home first. I'm going to rent an apartment and wait for my home to be finished. And then I'm going to move in my new home. And that's not the most efficient way to do it. Most people don't like doing that. Some builders will allow you to do a sale contingency on your home, but if you're doing any kind of improvements in the home or finishes that are a little bit wild, like red counters or forest green carpet color or something like that, they may want a 100% of that improvement in case they have to replace it if you walk away. And make sure you carefully read the contract. You want to find out what happens to your earnest deposit. Some of these builders have an absolute non-refundable earnest deposit no matter what happens. Find out what happens if you don't sell your house on time. Find out what happens if they don't close on time. Sometimes there's no penalty for them to be late. And that's a real problem for home buyers if they're thinking that, okay, I've got my apartment or wherever you're staying right now, and you're planning to move at a certain time and to vacate the other property. And then, oh, they're late. Many times they're late. Some things are out of their control. Some things are not, right? So you want to make sure that you have kind of a backup plan or a little fluffy time built in there, because very few builders actually nail their predicted closing dates. Some do, but I would say most of them don't. So carefully read the contracts, carefully understand what happens if for some reason you have to walk away, what happens to your deposit. And I highly recommend you take a good realtor with you that understands contracts and knows how to communicate with the builders to protect you from things like mechanics liens and stuff like that. We do this all the time. So give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. This discussion dovetails in with the next topic. When we come back, we're going to be discussing what to do if you want to buy a home but already have a home to sell, plus Barb's hot new listings. Stay tuned for those.